Hello there, friends. I hope you're all feeling good and Happy New Year. I hope you had a good New Year's. And Here's to creating something nice and cool here in 2020. So, this video is about how to become a web developer. And I know there's a lot of videos out there already, but I thought, what the hell? I might as well put in my 2 cents on this topic as well for my very few uh, listeners. So here's my take on how to become a web developer and what I think you should focus on in order to get there. So first, let's take a look at some of the languages I think you need to focus on. So first, we got HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, of course. These three languages, or they're not languages, all of them, but these three here are the cornerstone of the web. If you want to create a website, you at least need HTML and CSS. And if you decide to become a full stack or even a backend developer, you need to know either PHP, Python. You can do C# as well, and even for databases, if you want to become a backend or full stack developer. Some of those are MySQL, Postgres, and MongoDB. And it's also good to know various server options. So you can do a cloud-based server or a shared server or a VPS server. For most people, shared servers are fine enough. You probably heard of GoDaddy or HostGator. Uh, they offer usually shared servers. There are plus and minuses with all those options here as well. But I'm not gonna go through these um, for this video. Right, so what you need to know about HTML. So you need to understand the header section, how to start your HTML file, and it can show you actually what that is if we take a look here at our index HTML. So obviously you need to create a file with an ending .html. You can name the file whatever you want. So I'm running VS Code with Emmet, and if you want to know how to set that up, you can watch one of my previous videos where I talk about how to set up your local web development. So I'm just going to do exclamation mark and hit tab. So first we have the doc type here, which is an HTML, and the language here is English, and the character set is UTF-8. This is standard. These are not super important to know in the beginning. What I want you to focus on is this one here, this viewport, in order to make your site responsive, so it looks good on all devices. You need this line here, the viewport, and then you also need to know how to put in or bring in an external CSS style sheet. You need to know how to bring in JavaScript, and you also need to know how to put in um, Google Fonts, Bootstrap, for example, and other libraries, and then understand the different tags, for example, H1, P tag, paragraph tags, and links. This is the A tag. Another good thing is how to handle pictures, images, and forms. Those are very common things you're gonna see and encounter out in the wild. Once you start getting clients or other work, it's a lot of forms that you're gonna have to work on. So let's take just a quick look there on the various tags. So H1 is a tag for a header. That's the biggest header you can think of. So this is a header. So that's H1, and you need to start H1 in these arrows. and then you have to close and notice the backslash here before the h1. So that's a header, and let's take a look what it looks like um, on the front end. So I'm running live server, so this will show you an update here. So you can see this is a header, and then for a paragraph you have this is a paragraph. So these are normal paragraphs, normal text that you see on a website. So this is a paragraph, and then if you need a link, that's the a tag, and this is not going anywhere for now, but let's write this is a link. If you look at the front end, you can see this is underlined here, so it shows clearly it's a link. All right, so you can style all these, and to make them look the way you want with something called CSS. And CSS is a markup language. So you need to know the difference between inline, external, and internal CSS. And also understand classes and ID. We use these to style various elements in our HTML markup, and obviously change and style different elements. You also need to know media queries, and Flexbox and grids are amazing tools in order to make your website more responsive and mobile friendly. The same with media queries. Here's where you can decide um, when and how a certain website should change it looks. I will show you what that would look like. So let's start with the inline, external, and internal CSS. Well, first of all, you need to know how to bring these guys in. So first, you need to know the excuse me, the external way to bring it in. This is the most, I think this at once is the best way if you want to keep yourself organized. If you have a huge website with a lot of CSS elements, then it's much easier if you have a separate style sheet for you to keep yourself organized. So what you need to do here is put in something called a link, then a rel. So just the relationship, and it points to what kind of thing we want to bring in here. And so this is a style sheet, and then we need to create a link, and we need to tell the page where to find the style sheets. And I also already created styles.css. This is my external CSS style sheet. You can name it whatever you want. Just remember you need a .css at the end there. So I'm going to do styles.css like that, and then just close it off here. All right, so that's how you bring in your style sheet, external. So let's just show you and how to style. First, let's save. All right, so let's do the H1 first. Let's just change color. All right, to red. All right, so each element looks the same. So for just normal elements, get H1, then these curly brackets, and between these curly brackets, you put in your elements here. So first you need a color, and then a semicolon, or sorry, colon, and then the attribute here, right? So you want to have a red. You make this H1 color to red, and then semicolon at the end. All right, then save it, and let's take a look at the front end. So you can see here, this is a header now in red. Okay, so that's how you do that. Next thing you need to know is classes. So for example, if you have two H1s, and So this is header 2. All right, now if we save this one, you will see that both here has the same color, but for some reason you might want to have this one in a different color. So what you can do is you can give this a class or an ID. So let's start with a class. So just write class and then the name of the class. All right, so I'm just gonna write header and save it. And then down here we can just do header. So all classes have a dot in front of it. And then the same thing here, curly brackets, and then just color, colon, and the color of this one, I want this one to be black. Let's save it, and let's see, right. So as you can see here, now this header here is black, and this header is red, just because we put a class here. Now you can also give element an ID, and the difference between class and ID is that a class we can reuse it in different um, elements, but an ID should be unique to a specific element, specific tag. All right, so if we decide h1 should have an ID of, for example, header, then we should not have the ID of header on any other elements. For example, down here, we shouldn't have this one as an ID header as well, just to make it a little bit more organized. All right. So that's classes and IDs. So understand what these are and when to use them, and then also yeah, take your time and look at how to change the styles, and you can change anything here, font size. Yeah, you can change the fonts, backgrounds, and anything here. Right. Then also let's take a look at media queries. All right, so media queries can decide when and where you can change um the look of your website depending on the screen size. So for example, we do at media, and we use a max width of let's say 600 pixels. All right, so anything inside these curly brackets, they will change their style depending on the screen size. All right, so we set it that to 600 pixels. So let's do the H1 here, right? And let's set the color to green. Okay, and let's save it. And let's go look at the front page here. So as you can see, nothing has happened here. But if we do Control-Shift-I, and I'm on Firefox, by the way. And on Firefox, if you hit Control-Shift and I, you will get this developer tool right here. And up here, I have this responsive design mode. So if I click on this one, you can see it changed size here. So this one replicates a mobile screen. It's the Galaxy S9. I have a few options here already. So you can see here it's 360 pixels, and you can change. So we said 600 pixels, so everything below 600 pixels should get any H1 header should be green. This one does not change because it has a class, so it is not uh, affected by the new screen size. So if I drag this one and make it bigger, so if you look up here, once it turns 600 pixels, it should change colors to red. So let's drag it, drag it, drag it. Oops. So as soon as we get to over 600, it turns red. All right. So with this, you can change the look on your website depending on the screen size of the device. So that's very useful. And one thing you should know is always nowadays we should always create our websites mobile first. Google will take that into account in terms of ranking and SEO. So what you can do here is try to create your website mobile first, this view first, and then use media queries to style it so it looks good on like on a laptop and bigger screens as well. All right, and then we have Flexbox and grids. Grids are also very useful for using uh, using um, yeah, you make your site more responsive as well. So if we take a look at the CSS grids here, um, there's a really good tool at we3schools.com. They have a lot of tutorials and exercises for basically anything: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and so on. So just real quick, so this is the grid layout. Um, so yeah, you can look here. I'm not gonna go through this too much, but if you changed here, you can see it looks pretty nice. No matter the size, you can change whatever you want here. All right, the Flexbox it's pretty much the same. It's a little bit different syntax, but it's a great tool to use. So what's next here after HTML and JavaScript? Sorry, HTML and CSS. Try to recreate a uh, a simple website. You can go actually, what you can do is just try to do a navigation bar, put an image, text, a paragraph, some links, and a form. As I said, when you get out into the wild, you will come across a lot of forms. People need help with forms in various ways, so that's a good way to to practice that. You can also follow one or two tutorials, but don't get stuck in tutorial hell. All right, that's what happened to me when I started out. I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't do as many tutorials as I did. I did way too many tutorials because I was afraid to get into client work and stuff. Uh, yeah, because I think most developers or people starting out with anything suffer the same disease as I do. Low self-esteem. We're not confident. Yeah, at least I wasn't confident enough to start doing client work, which in hindsight, I should have started because it's easy to figure things out along the way. There's no way you know everything. Even nowadays, I don't know everything. Um, but I'll figure things out uh, along the way, and that's what you have to do as well. And the best way to learn is to actually uh, work uh, with some real clients. That's the absolute best way. And then after you created a simple website, you can recreate a more advanced website. And there's a excellent site for that actually. It's called Awards. So next note of the spelling. All right, so you have awards. Notice there's three uh, W's at the end there. Well, in the middle. And so these have a lot of different websites. Site of the day. They have various categories. Award-winning websites. So try to recreate some of these. It's a great way to practice. And some of these are very difficult. Some of these are not as difficult as you would think they are. But yeah, go in here, awards.com, and try to recreate one of the sites here. This is yeah, this is high level stuff, so it's a bit more difficult, but it's a great exercise for you. All right. So after you've done that, I would say dip your toes into JavaScript, and JavaScript is very useful if you want to make your site a little bit more interactive and more interesting. All right. So what you need to know here is you need to understand how to bring in JavaScript, understand variables, functions, and arrays, and events. And then again, recreate a website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So you can actually take one of the websites you created earlier and just add JavaScript to it. And also what we can do is to take your skills to the next level. You can create a website with only JavaScript and well, CSS to style it. So for example, first let's have a look at how to bring in your JavaScript. So you know the difference between if you put it up in the beginning of your body of the element here, or at the end. It has certain implications. A lot of people prefer to put it in at the end here in case you have slow connection. You put it here at the top. What happens is that the browser will load all JavaScript first before any of the other elements here. So if your site is loading slow, none of these will be able to, you won't be able to see these until JavaScript has been loaded. But if you have it here at the bottom, then it doesn't matter. You can see anything. You can interact with the website before JavaScript loads. All right, so let's add it in at the bottom here. So we need a script tag. Okay, and then I have an external. So it's source, src, and then the location of your JavaScript, and I already created here main.js. That's what I named it. So main.js, and then let's end the script tag right there. All right. So now we have added the script tag, and just to make sure it's there, we can have a look here. So you can see script main.js. So it's in here. So that's that. Let's close that off here for now. All right. So for JavaScript, there, yeah, understand various events, and as I said, variables, arrays, functions, and so on. And if you want to take it to the next level, you could try to create a website like in only JavaScript. I think I will make a series on how to create a website with only JavaScript, because I too want to improve my JavaScript skills, and I think it's a great way to do it. All right, so what you can do, just to show you some examples, is if I want to, let's say, let's create a header. So let's declare a variable, my header h1, like this, and then document dot create element, then h1 tag. All right, and then what I need to do is I need to add a value to this one. So I'm going to take my variable here, my header h1, and I want to do an inner text, and the inner text should be, I just do another hello world, like this, and then I can add a class to this one. So I'm just going to do my header underscore h1 class list, because I want to have a class, and that should be oh sorry, add, obviously, and then this should be let's do maybe headline like this, and then to append it to, I had to append it to my body, the body element, to this one, otherwise it won't be visible. So if I save here and we go back, and you can see here we don't have our header, right? We don't have this hello world. Okay, so we need to append it to our body tag. So how to do that is document dot body, and then append, and it's a child to the body tag, so append child, then my header underscore h1, and that's that. Okay, and then let's take a look, and you say hello world. All right, so that's how you do it in JavaScript. All right, and then you can obviously use the CSS style sheet here to style it. So it's just an h1 tag. You can we haven't styled the class, so let's do the headline. So let's take a look there. The dot headline, and the color should be blue. Let's take a look, and now it's blue. Okay, so that's how you do it in JavaScript. So learn, if you want to really improve your JavaScript skills, then try to create a website with the same as you did with HTML, CSS, navigation bar, picture, paragraphs, forms, links, and so on. All right. So that's that. Now, what you need to do next is you need to decide if you where you want to go next. So now you can actually try to get some simple client work doing HTML, CSS, JavaScript. There's plenty of work out there for just knowing these three, being a front-end developer. So what you need to do next then after that is decide if you want to be a full stack developer. So that means dive into a server-side language like PHP, Python, C Sharp, um, something like that. And remember, there's no the best language for anything. All right, so you have to look at your circumstances and choose a language from there. If you want to freelance, WordPress is the most viable option, in my opinion. It's more than 30% of all websites out there are powered by WordPress, and I think that's a great way to find work if you're a freelancer. So that brings me to my next point. Try to do a CMS. Obviously you need to understand WordPress if you want to go freelance route. Joomla is another popular one. Shopify. There's plenty of other CMSs out there. But again, WordPress is the most common CMS out in the wild, and WordPress is is built on PHP. Right. So if if you want to become a WordPress developer, you need to understand at least basic the fundamentals of the PHP language. Right, and then you can also decide if you want to do any other frameworks. So like Laravel with PHP, Angular, you have Django for Python there, and React. React is very popular. It's JavaScript. And then you have Vue. Vue goes really well together with Laravel. Then you have Flutter. One of these languages or sort of frameworks, it's a good way it's good to look into if you want to become a full stack developer, and also improve your chances to get work as well. React, as I said, is very popular, so that could be a good thing. There's a lot of React developers out there, um, but who knows? There's room for more, I think, right? And then real world experience. Nothing beats real world experience. Um, Getting real client work. Um, that experience is really valuable. Um, you can do as many tutorials as you want, but real world experience is king. So don't get stuck in tutorial hell. Try to get out there and get some experience working for clients, get some real client work. Um, that's super that's super important. I can't stress that enough. The imposter syndrome is strong in me, to be honest, and it took a while before I got out there. So yeah, try to get out there for to get some real world experience working with clients. It's great practice to work with a client, interact with clients. You're going to see what you need to improve on pretty fast. Usually, for people like myself, who's a little bit introverted, um, it's our communication skills. That's something we all need to improve. So that's that. All right, so that's actually it for this video. So I hope this could give you some pointers at least on where to go next. So yep, thank you for watching, and good luck in 2020. And I hope you create something awesome. So that's it. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next.